Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Community Force webinar. My name is Mehreen Mirza, and I'm going to facilitate this webinar and will be answering your questions during the Q&A break. We are waiting for others to join. So while we are waiting for everyone else to join, let us show you how you can use this webinar to ask questions and access the handouts. Now, as you can see on the right hand, there is a panel on the right hand side of your screen. Please use the arrow that is represented in an orange box to collapse or open the panel. You can also ask questions by typing them in the question area on the same panel. You can click on send or enter. We will receive your question and will answer those questions either during the Q&A break, or I will send you a response via email after this webinar. Okay. Also, a copy of today's webinar is available in the handout section on the same panel. Please click on the PDF copy on the title of the handouts as shown here. This handout contains all help guides, knowledge-based articles that we've created especially for you all. So please click on those links, and I hope you find them useful. Also, all of you have been put on mute in order to avoid any confusion during this webinar. Let's see how many of you have joined. Okay, let's see. Okay, since most of you have joined, let's start with the brief of this webinar. The topic for today is managing your evaluation process for the one-to-one application process, meaning one application associated with one single fund. We have with us Christine Smith, who will be our trainer for today, and will go over all the relevant areas under this topic. The duration of this webinar is 1 hour. I will now pass over the mic to Christine. All yours, Christine. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you so much, Maureen, for getting us started and going over how to enter questions while we're going through today's session. So, of course, this webinar, like Maureen said, is going to be a brief overview of how to monitor your evaluation process. So last month, we did the training on how to set up that evaluation process, how to turn it over to your review committee so that they could begin reviewing. And so now we're going to discuss how do you see what's happening with that review, where are your reviewers in the process, as well as how to see the final results is what we'll be covering. So that'll help you see the final scoring results. And then also we'll go over the automated scoring, how you'll be able to see the results for that also if you're using automated scoring. So who's going to benefit from today's webinar? This is going to be any of you administrators that are on the call today that are responsible for reviewing your evaluation process. So once it's been turned over to the review committee, if you're the individual that's responsible for monitoring the review as well as the results, then you're going to benefit from today's session. And so some of the topics we're going to be covering, just a brief review, is reviewing your committee status, reviewing the scorecard PDF. So once they've done the scores, there's a PDF you can get. So how do you review that? Submitting, if you're using the submit functionality, how do you unsubmit a reviewer's submittal? Once they've submitted it, it's locked, they can't get into it. So we'll talk about how you can undo that for them. They need to go back in. How to add scoring. So maybe you might have a reviewer that needs assistance in entering scores. Maybe their computer's down or they've lost electricity and they have a deadline and they need to get them in or something. You know, maybe how can you do that for them, assist them? And then we'll take a quick break for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then any questions that came in over those 4 topics, Maureen will go ahead and address. As we're going through these sessions, of course, she's going to be typing in the answers that she can. But then when we go to do this break, then she'll let you all know what some of those questions were so that you can be included as well. And then, of course, after that, we'll talk about the final 3 topics on reviewing the scoring results, the automated scoring results if you're using automated scoring, and then also running your ad hoc reports. So if you want to create a report based on the specific scores, how do you get those reports? What's the best way to run an ad hoc report to see just specific tasks that you've created? So we'll go over that at the end and then take a final quick break at the end to address any more questions that may have come in. So of course, the first topic we want to discuss today is reviewing committee member status. So once you've assigned your assignments and given them to your committee members, The review committee member status allows you to see what's the status of your reviewers. How are they doing on the review process? Are they done with the review process? What are the scores that they've given each individual applicant in that review process? So that'll give you the whole kind of details of what's happening with your review committee and what they're doing at the moment. So to access that screen, I am going to be on a grant site today because it's a one-to-many process. And so the majority of our one-to-ones, we do have scholarships on one-to-one as well. So it's going to be the same process. It's just we'll be on a grant site. And so we'll be using terminology that says is for like grants. But of course, even though it says grants, it's if you just replace the word with scholarship, it's going to be the same process. It's just the verbiage change is all that's going to be affecting you. So same screens, same data. I mean, not data, of course, but same screens and same functionalities will be the same on scholarships as well as grants. So I'm logged in right now as an admin. And so, of course, the first screen I come to is my home screen. And so I'm going to open up my application form that I'm monitoring by selecting it. And then once I get there, I'm going to go to the evaluations tab. We're still on that evaluations tab. That's the same tab where you set up all the tasks. So this is also going to be the same location where you're monitoring the evaluation process, seeing those results. So if you don't have it open, you can hit this little arrow here and that will expand this open so you can see it. Good. And let me just center that a little bit better. Okay. So the review committee status is in this drop down right here. And you can see it just falls right after the assignments under review committee status. And so when I select that, you'll notice on this screen, I only see 4 of my reviews. So when we were on the review task setup, which was the first screen, you're going to notice we had at least 10, maybe more, because we have 2 pages. Why am I not seeing all those? It's because over here in the display on review reports, I have them turned off. I'm done with these reviews, and when I'm in my status, I don't want to see them anymore. So I've turned them off so that I don't have a whole list to scroll through to find what I'm looking for. So when I say turn them off, I am actually, so like right here, if I was to click on the task name, it'll say display on review reports. And if it's unselected, that means it's turned off. And I won't see that anywhere in my other areas. So that's what that means. And so that's why I'm not seeing everything when I go over here to review committee status. So here I am on my review committee status. I currently have 4 tasks that I'm monitoring. And so over here, I can see the name of the task. I can see the assignments that have been done. So when you see these assignments, you might say, well, I only have like 10 applicants. Why are there so many assignments? Well, this is each assignment given to each reviewer. So of course, if you have 4 reviewers, 10 applicants, then you're going to have 40 assignments like you see this one here. So that's why the number is so high. It's counting the number of assignments across all of your reviewers. So over here is nice. This is going to show you, okay, I'm looking at my committee review, and I can see I've assigned out 99 reviews to be done. Only 96 have been, are still in the process of needing to be complete. So they're incomplete. And then over here, I can see, okay, 3 of them have been completed. And of those 3, there's been 2 submitted. If I have that submittal functionality. If you don't have the review submitted, you don't have that functionality turned on, so your reviewers don't have to submit. But if you would like that submittal functionality, then we can assist you by, if you enter support ticket, we can assist you on how to turn that on. So, and then what that does is it locks your reviewers. Once they've put the review in, they've submitted, they can't go in and make changes. So here I see there's 3 complete. So I might want to say, okay, who am I waiting on? So I can go over here to the committee review screen. I can click on that task name. And then once I click on the task name, that is going to give me all of the reviews. So it's going to give me one. You're going to see here, I have this agency here listed 3 times. That applicant is 3 times. And the reason is because there's 3 different reviews that are here. that are on this list. Now you can sort here by committee name, which I like to do because then it kind of gives me a grouping by that committee. And so here I can see, okay, this reviewer here, Christine Reviewer Test, has this one is 88% complete. Now this completed figure comes off of the required questions. So this here is based on when I built my task card for my reviewers. I created questions and made them required. And so this is saying 88% of that specific task card for this applicant has been completed by this reviewer. And I can see the score that they've given so far. Now, if you're not using scores and this says 100% complete, you're still going to have a score column, so don't be alarmed. You will still see that column even though you're not adding scores. It's just going to show 0. But of course, over here, you want to make sure you have those required questions in your task card, and then it'll show it's been, what's the percentage of complete. So I can kind of scroll through this listing, and I can kind of see, even if I put this to all here, I can see an overview of what all of my reviewers are doing. And it might be too small for you to see if I go that small, but you can go here and scroll over. So you can just kind of quickly see, okay, here, this one's done, but she hasn't submitted it. This is the Maureen Mirza. So this is showing that she's 100% complete, but she hasn't submitted. So these are where you can just kind of, it gives you a nice overview of what's happening, where they are in the process, and who you need to reach out to complete their assignment. So this one here, I can see 100% complete. So I know, okay, this one's done. They have submitted, they've locked it. So this one is a final score for this individual. So that's just kind of an overview of what you're looking at when you're out here on the screen. Now, if you were to click on the applicant name here, that's going to take you to the application dashboard. So that applicant's dashboard you're going to see. And this is helpful because once reviews are done, the status they've scored, maybe you have a staff section and you need to complete something. So if you have a staff section, then you can just go in here, click on that section and complete what you need to complete, and then go out and go to the next applicant in that review screen. So that's very helpful there for you to be able to do that. I'm just going to hit this back button here to go back one more page here. And so over here, of course, this is how you can view the preview of the application. So if I click this, it's going to give me an application preview. It's that preview, so I can see that there. And then I'm going to go out now, and we're going to look at the other scorecard because it's a complete review. So let's hit review committee status. We're going to go back one. Okay, so now here I am back here. So I've finished looking at this committee review. And so now I know this one is complete. So this one, if it wasn't, and of course I got the email addresses, I can shoot out an email to those reviewers. Or here I can see, okay, this one's done. So I know my health review's done. I can start finalizing everything I need to finalize. So I'm going to click on the health review. And again, same screen. We're going to see everything's completed, everything's submitted. And so if I want to see how this reviewer, Susan, scored this applicant, the individual breakdown, I can go over here to the score sheet and click that score sheet. Then once I click the score sheet, I'm going to see what the reviewers see. So this is exactly what they see when they're looking at the review process. And so I can see the score for each question that they've given. And also I can see the preview over here to the right-hand pane. And this is dependent on, there is a setting. So some of you have a setting where they don't see this, they have to click and then they have a separate tab that opens. But this is one where they can actually see it right on the right-hand side of where they're doing the scores. They can scroll through that specific application. Now, if some of you have the functionality turned on, if you remember, we talked about in general information that functionality where you're allowing reviewers to see each other's scores, that's where they're going to see that, is in this preview page. And where they see that, and it will be a separate section, like I mentioned before, you'll see the reviewer. So this is the health review. I can see how Christine actually scored this individual. If I was a reviewer, this is what I would see also. I can see, because I have this functionality turned on for them to be able to see each other's comments. So I can see, okay, she gave them these scores. And so maybe if I'm a reviewer and I'm scoring, I might think, okay, that's what she did. Maybe I'm being maybe a little bit stiffer on those clients or those organizations or that applicant, depending on what you're using, applicants or organizations. And so then I can make my determination on how I want to score. Also, you're going to note when you're looking at this, it's going to give you all of the tasks that have been assigned. So the committee review is also on here. It's going to be an all or nothing. So any task that you've assigned to reviewers and they've scored on, you're going to be seeing those in this application form. So it's going to get pretty lengthy, but of course, what they'll be needing to do is look for that health review. So that's the review status. Now, one other thing that's helpful with this report, if I go back out here, is you're going to see the individual scores for this specific task because we're in this task. So if you want to, you can export this to Excel and get a report of all the scores. You won't get the average, but you'll get the total score. And this is a nice report by task. If you want to know each task, how they scored, you want a report to give somebody, you can export this to Excel. And then when you export it to Excel, of course, it's going to download an Excel spreadsheet. We'll let it do that here so you can see what that looks like. And then here you'll be able to see what's been completed, what was the total score given, and then if it's been submitted. So that's what you're going to be able to see. And then you have that nice report that you can have. And if you want, since it's in Excel, now you can run figures if you'd like to on your own and get totals as well. Okay. So also you'll notice you can bring the highest and lowest in this report. You can sort that so that if you want the highest score to come to the top, you can do that as well. So the next thing, so what about they're done scoring, and so now you want to see their scorecard PDF. How do you see that scorecard PDF? So to get to that scorecard PDF, again, we're here in the assignment screen, and going back into the score sheet, here you're going to see over here, Reviewer Scorecard PDF. So when I click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to give me a PDF version of this scorecard. And then of course I can save this to my folder that I have his app. Maybe I have this individual's application in a folder, then I can save that to that folder as well. And so this is going to give you their scores and then how this specific reviewer scored that applicant on all the questions that you gave them and then any data that they've completed on that. So that's the scorecard PDF, how you get that. Now, you also, if you are using the submittal functionality, then there are going to be times when a reviewer comes to you and says, I submitted this review, but I've thought about them and I do want to make a change, or I made a mistake on my score. I need to have you, I accidentally submitted it. Can you go in and unsubmit it for me? Because they can't unsubmit a submitted application. So it's kind of like releasing a section back to an applicant. This, you're releasing it back to the reviewer so that they can go in and make an adjustment. So to do that, again, we're still here in the review committee status screen. I'm going to go back to the beginning here to the review status. And I'm going to click on that task name. so you know where we are in the flow here. And so I'm here on that task. I'm looking at the task report. I haven't clicked in on any of the scores, but over here you're going to notice a mark is not submitted. So maybe Susan came to me and said, hey, I need some assistance. I submitted this and I didn't mean to. Or maybe you're looking at the scores and realize, you know what, Susan picked a 2. I think that might have been, maybe that wasn't right. Let's reach out to her and make sure. So how do you unsubmit it so she can go in and make a change? So right now it says submitted. You just come over here and you select, and you can do this on multiple. However, whoever you select, it's per page, of course. So once I select that individual, I just come over here and do mark as not submitted. It's going to say that message that it's been undone. And then now it's going to say no. And then I can go back to Susan and say, okay, it's ready. Feel free to go in and make any adjustments. And then she can go in and make her adjustments and resubmit. And then it'll show me again once she resubmits it here. Now, the next scenario you may have, of course, is you may have a reviewer who needs help with you adding scores for them. Maybe they were in the process, they lost their the electricity and they needed the inner scores. They know what they wanted to do, but they can't do it at the moment. So they come to you and say, hey, can you do this? Can you enter these scores for me? Yes, you can do that. So how you do it is, again, still in the review status screen. I'm actually going to go back out to the review task setup just so you can see where it is, because it's the very first click. So if I go into review committee status right here, and I'm on the screen, don't go any deeper into the system here. Up here in the right-hand corner, you're going to see something called Select Reader. Now it's only on this screen you're going to see this. If you go anywhere else, like if you were to click Health Review, you're going to notice it's not there. You have to be on the review committee status screen. So here, when I click Select Reader, what it's going to do, so I'm logged in right now. I am logged in as Community Force Support. When I hit Select Reader, it's going to give me all of my reviewers that I currently have active and active tasks. And I can find that review and I can hit switch. So maybe Susan wanted me to unsubmit, make a change, and then go in and change the score for her. So I can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit switch. And if you notice, I'm no longer logged in as Community Force Support. I'm logged in as Susan, and I'm seeing her dashboard when she logs into the site. This is what she sees. This is what your reviewers see when they are reviewing their applicants. This is their assigned applicants screen that they get. So here I can look for the one that she needs assistance on. So right here's the one, it's 10 and 9. So I can click on that assignment. And then here it's going to give me the listing of the applicants for that specific review. And here I can see this is the one that's not submitted. This is the one I opened up for. And so if I need to change a score for her, you're going to notice now when I click on the applicant name. So before, when I was in as an admin, I couldn't make any adjustments. I could just view. But this one, you're going to notice when I click on his name, I now have ability to go in and make adjustments. Maybe she didn't want this to be a 40, she wanted it to be 33. I can scroll down to the bottom here and you can see I now have all the save, the submittal, all the functionality I need to have. And so I've entered that score, I've made the adjustment, so I could go ahead and submit it for her here by clicking the submit button, or I can hit save and exit, let it save the change, and then come here, select it. So you notice it's the only one selected because all the rest have been submitted. And then I can hit the submit button up here as well and submit that for her. So now it's 100%. I've made the change. I've locked it out. So now how do I get back to my login? So the only thing I can see right now is what Susan sees. How do I get back? Well, you probably guessed it already. There's a switch back here. And that will switch me back to my Community Force Support. I can see the health reviews and now they're all submitted. So that's how you can make adjustments and enter scores on behalf of your reviewers if you need to do so. So now we're just going to take a quick break and pause for a minute and let Maureen answer any questions that may have come in. It's all yours, Maureen.
Thank you, Christine. Okay, there is a question that says, can my applicants see the reviewer names and the scores? There is a setting. We discussed this in our last session. So there is under application settings, right, and under general information, like Christine is showing here on the screen, see, display reviewer tasks to application. Yeah. This, if you enable this, only then the applicants will see. But more often than not, none of our clients, let's just say majority of them do not allow the setting to be, enabled. So that's completely up to you if you do want your applicants to see, but if you don't want, please make sure that this is disabled. And by default, it is going to be disabled. So don't worry, your applicants cannot see the scores, they cannot see the reviewer names or anything else, okay? All right, then there is a question that says, can I bulk download the reviewer scorecard PDF? Well, I can understand where that idea comes from, that under manage applications, you're allowed to multi-select the applicants and batch download the PDFs. Unfortunately, this is not present in the current system, but we'll take your, feedback and forward it to our team. Then there is another question that says, is there a way to see reviewer comments without opening their reviewer sheet? I would like to see the download comments to Excel. So if you go to the review committee status screen, Christine, she just wants to see the comments. So not
Yeah,
all
and then we'll be
comments.
covering that in the results as well. But yeah, they can
Okay,
see.
thank you so much.
I'll
Thank you
open
so
it
much.
up though.
Awesome. So you heard Christine already. We are going to cover that topic in the next, part of our training webinar. Okay, this one says, the scores are not calculating even though the reviewers scored the users. So you have to make sure that during the setup of the scorecard, please make sure that the values, the question types, all of that is correctly set up. Any spaces, any special characters, anything that you've added during the setup of the scorecard on those questions that are dropped down on numeric types, make sure that it does not contain any of that. And it should be able to calculate. If you're still having trouble, please reach out to us on Zendesk. Open a ticket with us on Zendesk and someone will help you out with that. So that's how it works. And I've answered the rest of the questions. I think Christine has already covered this question, how to switch to reviewer's dashboard, right? Using the select reader option. I think, Christine, I've answered the rest of the questions in the essay box. You're already going to talk about Sue's question. So
Yes.
back to you, Christine. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Very good. Okay, so thank you so much, Maureen, for addressing those questions. You always do an excellent job with that, and we appreciate your assistance with that. So now we're going to go on to the next topic, and I believe this will answer the question that we just had come in regards to how to get the comments on the screen. So the next thing we want to cover is the review committee results. So the review committee results is going to give you, similar to what we just seen per task, but this is going to give you the results for those applicants in a little bit of a different view with a little bit more details. And so what this does is this gives you the total scoring for the applicants across all the tasks they're reviewed on. And so when I say all tasks that are active, that's going to be any task that's marked displayed on review report. So I'm going to go into the report so you can kind of see what it looks like when everything is active. And then if you just want to see a specific task, when you come to that results screen, how do you do that? So from this screen here, so we're going to go to the site here, and it's going to be the next drop down here under review committee results. And here is that review committee results screen. Now you're going to notice when I'm on the screen, we're looking at all the applicants that are on my application form. These are my submitted applicants. And I'm noticing none of them are showing 100% complete. Well, if you notice here, I'll click in on this applicant here. They have an average score of 224. So how is that average score being calculated? That's one of the biggest questions, and why is it right now only saying 71% complete? So when I go here to look at the average score, I'm going to click on it, and you're going to see the breakdown here of the average score for that applicant. And why I'm here, I'm going to see it's giving me the totals for the health review, and it's also giving me for the committee review. So I have 7 reviewers that are out here right now that have been assigned to review this one applicant. So what it's doing is it's taking this total score, and right now it's looking at all of what I'm seeing here on the screen, all 7, dividing that by 7 to give me that average score that we saw on the front page there. Now, this screen's also nice here because you can see the comment here if you want, and you can export this to Excel. So that's one area you can look at it. But what we're going to do is show you how to see just the health review. So what you need to do is when you go to this review committee result, if you're just looking at one task, now if you had the financial and review and you wanted it included with your health review, then you would have both of those turned on so that you could get the average across both of those. But in this scenario, I only want to see my health review. I don't want to see that committee review out there right now. Then what I need to do is I need to go to review or task before I get to this screen. And depending on what task I want to see, I need to turn the others off. So when I see turn the others off, it means I need to go to this committee review, click on it, and on the display on review reports, I need to turn it off so I don't see that on my review process. And then this one I'm not going to turn off because I know there's no reviews yet and there hasn't been assignments yet. So I'm just going to leave that one on for now, just since this is just a demo. So now health review. So now if I go back to the review committee results, you're going to notice this applicant now shows 100%, and it only shows 100% on a few because those are the only ones that were in the health review process. And of course here I can see the average score. When I click on that average score, then it's going to give me the average based on just that review that I know is 100% complete. So I know this is the grand total. I can export this for that applicant if I wish, and then I can have all the details I need. The scoring comment, if you're using that, here's one where you can see per this applicant, you can actually see that scoring comment and how each one answered that specific comment question. If I go back to review committee results, and I'm on this screen, I can actually go over here on that comment over here, and this is that same column. I can click that, and I can see it from this screen by viewing it here. Now, if you export this screen to Excel, which I'm going to do right now, you're also going to be able to see over here in scoring comments, when you export it to Excel, it's going to put it all in one line, of course, and then it's going to show you who it was and then what they said. And that, like I said, it's going to be that long line of text for that applicant. So that does give you that in that as well. But if you actually click on the applicant name, like I just did, it's usually it's a nicer Excel spreadsheet because if I click on their name, or the score, I should say, not the name, the score, then I can export this and I have this as well. So that's one way. Now, when we get on further in ad hoc reports, you'll be able to see also that score and how that it can go into an ad hoc report as well. So that's the review committee results. So the main important thing and takeaway for this is when you're looking at the review committee results, make sure you have just the task turned on that you want to see in these results. And then if you need combined tasks so that you can get an average across the combined, then you leave those two on and then it'll average those out for you. And this screen actually averages based on every assignment, whether they've scored or not. So like in this one, when we went in, if you remember, the committee review had some zeros. Even though they hadn't scored, it's still going to pick them up in the average on the review results screen. So when you're looking at this, that's why it's always important, if you do have all your reviews are complete before you start looking at data and pulling reports from this specific screen. So that's the review committee results. So I'm just going to go back up here on the reviewer task setup and turn this task on because I'm going to need it for another functionality here. Because if I don't, it's not going to show up anywhere in my drop downs. If it's not turned on, it's not going to show in any drop downs. Even when I go to do the ad hoc report, I'm not going to be able to, pull certain things on that report because it won't be showing. So the next thing I want to talk about is, okay, so this is the scores for your review process and the task. But if you remember on the last training, we created automated scores. We're not seeing those on any of these screens. So how do you see the results for your automated scores that you've set up? So right now, to get to those, you do have to go to another report. So you built them here in the evaluation screen. But now you're going to jump over to the Manage Reports tab. And when you get to the Manage Reports tab, you're going to see a report called Automated Scoring Report. So when I select the Automated Scoring Report tab, of course, that's going to give me the nice overview of my automated scores. It's going to give me the automated scores over here. So if the applicant met the parameters to receive that score, it'll score them. And like I said, this is a one-to-many, so it's just one fund that they've got the scores on. And if I had multiple scores, which in this scenario, I just have one, but I can go over here to View Automated Score Sheet for that applicant, and it will give me the breakdown of that score and then how they answered that specific question. So, okay, this is the score of 25. Why did they get a score of 25? And then this was the answer. And then, of course, that was dependent on what was the range that you set for that applicant to receive a score of 25. And then this would have the question and answer and the score. Like if you had multiple scores, it's going to give you a line for each one of those. It's going to give you a column for all of those. Now, if I go back to the automated scoring report, if I export this to Excel, it's also in the Excel spreadsheet going to give you the detail, of course, so you can see what it'll be. It'll give you the column. And if there was multiple scores, different types of questions that I was scoring on, it's going to say, okay, this is what they got for annual operating budget. There'd be another column for the next question, the next question, the next question, and then of course their total score. So you can have all of that in one nice report for your automated score. Now, of course, right now, you're probably saying, okay, so how can I see a total score and an automated score together? Well, right now, the only place that is possible is here in the award screen, which in your next training next month, we're going to talk about how to do awarding. But in this award screen for the one-to-one, this is the one-to-one process, on the Manage Awards One Fund, you will see here your applicants. You will see the average score. Now, this is just based on the scores that have been received, not assigned. And then over here, you're going to see the column for automated score. So this will show me, okay, this one has a 314 average score, and the automated score is 15. And this is going to be based on the scores for that specific applicant. And that's the one place where you can see them sideways sorted side. And of course, you can export this to Excel as well. So just a little preview on the award screen. So that is the review process for reviewing your scores. So the next thing you might want to do is maybe you want to get an ad hoc report. So this is going to give you this task, the scores, the comments, but how do you get a report? Maybe you want to include some questions from the application form. You want to include all the questions. You want to see how the reviewers reviewed them. You can do that. And so what we're going to do now is discuss how to create an ad hoc report based on that task. So let's say the health review task. I want to see the health review. I want to see how the applicant answered their questions, some key questions that I need to make a determination, or maybe I need to build a report to give to my board. Then I can do so with an ad hoc report. And so there's one little step at the very end. You will need to do a condition. So that's why we kind of go over this, and maybe some helpful hints on some mistakes that we've seen some of our users do. And so then how to avoid that as well. So to create an ad hoc report, we are going to, of course, go to Manage Reports. And under Ad hoc Reports, we go to Manage Ad hoc Reports. This is where all those reports are built, and we will be doing eventually this year, towards the next couple months, we'll be doing a thing on how to build reports if you're not familiar with doing that. So just always be on the lookout for that. But of course, to create a new report, so I'm going to hit Create New Report, and I'm going to give it a name. And then you could give it a description. And of course, visible to me means I can see it. Visible to all means everybody on my team that's an admin that has access to reports can see it. So then here, this is where I put the areas on the site that I want to include in this report. So application data, I always include that because that's your status details. Whether it's been submitted or not, it's going to give that to you. That's where you get that through application data. And it's also going to include in your report the name, that's the login, if it's a grant site, it's going to give you the organization name and the applicant name. If it's a scholarship site, then of course it's also going to give you that scholarship email address and the applicant name. And then the email address will be on the grant one as well. It's automatically in the application data. That's all in that. That's their login data. And then section data, that's where I can pull in data into this report. So maybe I want to know what's their requested amount, how much are they asking, especially if this is a grant site. I want to know before I make a determination of their award, what is it they're actually asking for. If you're doing this for a scholarship, maybe you want to know how did they answer some key questions that makes them eligible for this scholarship. You can include those in there as well as the scores. And then the scorecard information, that's the key. That's the one that's going to give you the task card and allow you to put that task card question, all those questions that your reviewer answered, along with the rest of the data from the application itself. So here I'm going to hit Save and Next. And then this is where you're going to start selecting from the different areas the data you need to pull into this report, those fields. So each one of these that has the brackets, that's the area that we selected from the screen prior. So application data, you'll notice if I click this, this is almost like this is what would be the section within an application form. Application data, this is all that's considered application data. So if you want to include these elements in your form, then always choose your application data. I always like to do status because every time I run a report, I want to know what their current status is. And then maybe the date and time submitted, I might want that in there as well. So whatever I select over here, I'm going to hit this arrow, move it to the right, and now that's going to be a column. Think of an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to be a column for status and a column for date and time submitted. Now I know because this is an ad hoc report, I'm pulling in application data. I don't need to put in names and all that because I'm getting the same type of name I would if I was looking at a report here, like I just discussed. But here's section data. So maybe I want to pull in some data from the application form. These are all the sections that are in my application form that are active at the moment. So I can look at all of these and then find the section I want to put that question in. I can scroll down and determine, okay, I want to know what was their focus area, what was the project title, what's the budget total, and the amount requested. Maybe, or if maybe I want to know their annual operating budget. That was maybe the one that I actually picked up from my automated scoring. So here is all those questions. So now I'm going to pull those over. Okay, so now to get the task, you probably guessed, you're going to go to this task cards. So right now it's just giving me the task cards I have active. Remember I said if they weren't turned on, I wouldn't see them. So here's my health review. As soon as I select the health review, it's going to give me all the questions for the health review process. So I want them all in there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select all and move all of those over. And now they're all selected. And now I'm done adding my fields. So all I need to do now is hit save and next. So once I get to the save and next screen, this is where it's an important element. So you're not going to get everything, and it's going to give you the right averages and totals. This is the screen where you're going to build a condition to get just the scores for the task you want to see. I just want to see the scores for my health review. I want everything based on that. So I'm going to add a new condition, and I'm going to pick scorecard information. The section, of course, is going to pre-populate. That's the only selection there is when you're doing this for the scorecard information. What's the field? It's going to be the task name. The condition is going to be equals. And then the filter value is that scorecard, which is education, or not education, it's health review. And then that's it. And if you wanted to build more into this, you could, but right now I just want my task for the health review, and I'm going to hit finish. So what it's going to do is it's going to compile it based on the health review only. It's not going to pick up totals and give me some odd figures. It's going to just show me the health review. And so here I have that report, so I can then just go ahead and view it. And then here is what it looks like. So you're going to notice I have multiple lines for this applicant. The reason that is because I'm looking at it based on the score aspect. And so it's going to give me a line for each one of those reviewers. So one thing I could do is, instead of viewing it here, I can always do the advanced view also. Sometimes it takes a while for this. Okay. And then I can say, okay, I want to know for this applicant, I can pull over and filter by organization name, so it'll group them together and I can find them. And then here I have my grouping. So here you're going to see that applicant. And then since this is for the review process, if I scroll down here and move it over a little bit more, you're going to be able to see, of course, here's all those questions I pulled in, their budget total, their amount requested. This is the reviewer that reviewed them and their email address. And then this is the scores for that reviewer. There's that scoring comment that was created as the scoring comment. That's here. And then here it shows the submittal, if you have the submittal. And then over here, it's going to give you the average. So here's the total score and then the average reviewer score. So here you're going to see the total score by the reviewer and then the total score for across all of the reviews for that review. And then of course you can export this to Excel and then have this whole entire report in the Excel spreadsheet and run your own figures and calculations within Excel as well, aside from what we're seeing here. But this was the advanced view. When you do the regular view, which we just had a minute ago here, you'll see, again, you can export that to Excel and export it this way, but I like to do that other view because it kind of groups everything together easily, so it's easily to see, which it does here, but then of course, you can see that advanced view is a little bit cleaner. Okay, now one thing we do see happen sometimes is when creating ad hoc reports, you can clone, which is perfect, especially if you have a task and it's the exact same task and same questions, but you just want to create it and run it for a different task. Then you can clone this by just hitting the copy functionality. But when you want to create, and what it does is it gives you that same one with the date. So you do want to go in and make sure and change the name. So maybe I want to do my committee review now. So I might change this to committee review because I just want a quick way to do this report. I cloned one that I had. I go into save and next, and then this is where some of our clients, they'll come here, they'll pick committee review, it'll show the questions, they select all and pull them over, but they forget that they cloned this and forgot to take out the old questions, and they could be the exact same questions. Like this one, you can see I have quality of life, collaboration. This is polling right now. These are the questions that were built for my health review. So I want to make sure and remove those. I just did a select all because I know these are the questions from the application. From here down, I know all of these questions were from that health review. I need to get those out of there. I need to remove them because I did want the committee review. Now I can do a select all since those are gone and put those in. And that's the one step that some clients, when they clone, they forget to take out the old questions because they all look the same. And then they create it and then they're like, well, this data doesn't look right. Why isn't it giving me the right data? That's because they didn't clean this selected column and get the old questions from the other one out. And then of course, now that I've done this, I've got the committee review. You'll notice if I go here to the health review, here we got the questions, and then we do save and next, committee review, save and next. And then here again, also make sure you change this to the committee review so that you get the questions for the committee review on that, or the education, whatever it is you're doing. Those are two steps you want to make sure and adjust when you're cloning so that you get the correct data coming through. So that's just a little helpful hint. And so that looks like that's it for today, Maureen, of what I have to show. So if you want to go ahead and answer any questions that came through, and then we can close the session.
Sure, Christine, thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this question is related to this question does come up that can I see the total automated score as well as the total of the automated score and the manual score? You can see both. Christine, if you can go to the award screen, which we'll cover in the future, you can see both the scores, but in independent columns. We have taken this feedback to our team, and I'll talk to the team, and if there is an announcement that if we have to make any changes, then we'll send it out. You should hear from us if there are any changes that are coming up. But we've definitely taken this feedback into consideration. See, as Christine shows, see, there's the automated score is different, total score is separate, average score. We are not currently allowing the addition. But if you have specific requirement, like I said, we've already conveyed this to our team. There is some work being done. We'll let you know, okay, if more progress is made in this area. You should hear from us soon. Okay. But yes, currently we cannot add both. And there's another question that says, I created a report based on specific scorecard, but the report is not pulling any of the data. Well, number one, if you go to ad hoc reports, you should be able to update the, sync the data. Firstly, try to sync the data. Thank you so much, Christine. So as she's showing, if the report is not appending, not getting any scores from that scorecard, you should be able to see a sync two buttons. Currently, both are synced. That is why Christine is not seeing both the buttons. There are two sync buttons. If you have synced the data and still the information doesn't show up, please cross-check on the evaluation setup on the tasks if you have disabled these scorecards to be appearing on the reports. If you've disabled one of those reports or that specific report to be showing up, Christine, can we go to the evaluations and task setup? Okay, you wanted to talk about the Recreate reporting database, I'm sure, first. Okay, now you see display on review reports. If you've disabled this, you're not going to see that in your report. Please make sure that you have not disabled the report to be showing up in your reports. If you do that, if there's a no against any of them, you cannot see that information pull through in the report that you created. Okay, so take care of that. And just a second, I have a few questions here. And okay, another option, even after you have synced the data, recreated the reporting database, checked for the task being enabled, the reports on the reporting screen as well, and yet you're not able to pull the data, please reach out to us on Zendesk, open a ticket with us on Zendesk, and our support team should be able to refresh the reporting database from the backend, and you should have your reports pulled. So our support team will look into that for you. There's a question that says that, can I set up a few people in the system to just have access to the reporting module, because you don't want them to have access to, the administration, the evaluate. They are not even evaluators. So yes, absolutely, you can do that. There is a role type in the system. Thank you so much, Christine. If you go to administration tab, and these are non-licensed users, you do not need to pay Community Force to set up these people, and there's no limit as such. So if you want 3 people or 4 people from your team to have access, thank you so much, Christine, manage role types. There is a specific role type that says global reporting or department reporting. Depending upon whatever you want to give them access to, you can give them access. And these role types don't have a cost associated with it. And the only thing that they have access to is creating new reports, building new reports, extracting reports, so they can help you in some ways. Thank you so much, Christine, you're showing. So this is what you can see. So that's the global reporting. All of that information comes through. All right. So then there's managed reports. They can create ad hoc reports. They can pull new reports, and they can create reports from the scorecards as well. All right. Thank you so much, Christine. That is very much helpful. That was a very good question. I think this question we've already covered. Christine has showed you. Can I get a report with the detailed breakdown of all the scores or replies by a reviewer per task? As Christine has showed, in the beginning itself, you can select the specific scorecard one way, right? And another one was after she created the scores, she added conditional logic, filters, right? So you can add a filter and only pull the information from a specific scorecard while building this the ad hoc report, or you can only pull in information from a specific scorecard. I think I've covered all of the questions. I've answered the remaining questions. And so I hope the information was helpful, whatever Christine showed, how to pull the information from the comments. I've covered all of the questions, Christine. That's it from my side. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Maureen, very much for answering those questions for us. So of course, that brings our session to an end today. So as always, please be sure to get a copy of this handout because you will have the resources. There's a lot of details on how to do certain things. We don't have time, of course, within our hour time frame to cover all the how-tos on how to, like, especially with building reports, something like that. So you'll notice these actually have click here's that take you to guides that go into more detail on the topics that we covered today. So those click here's will all take you to our help desk area to the specific guide that covers those topics. So as always, we appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy schedules to attend our webinar. And so if you do have any questions, always feel free to reach out to our client support team by entering a support ticket on Zendesk and asking for assistance on regards to what the topic is that you're wanting more assistance with. And someone from our client support team will be more than happy to respond to that and answer any questions you may have. And so again, thank you all for your time, and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you in a couple weeks and start talking about awarding. So we'll be starting awarding on the one-to-one with the month of July. And then we'll be doing the managed evaluations on the one-to-many in our next session, which will be on June 25th. So that's the one-to-many and managing evaluations. If you have one application with multiple funds and you need to see all your results for the different funds, we'll be talking about that in our next session. So thank you, everyone, and hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you.